Hey, sports fans. We are back for yet another edition of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. This week on the show, McCaffrey completes the TD trifecta. Where have the Raiders gone? I think they got lost on their last crusade. And the trade deadline looms. Who could use it and who doesn't need it? We have a great show for you lined up today. We are Sports, of course. I am one of your hosts, Jonah. With me, as always, is my man, RPF. You can find us on all of your podcast listening platforms. And we are on Instagram and Twitter. And, of course, our own YouTube channel, Sports, of course. Just go to any of those and search Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. We'll pop right up. I guarantee it. I promise. RPF, it was an interesting week in football. But other than that, how we doing?
Well, first of all, we just survived Halloween. Let's talk that. I literally find this part of the time of the year alarming on many levels. The fact that there's like people literally dressed trying to kill you is not something I look forward to any year. So the two things I do every time, the two truisms in life I figured out are, one, you always overorder at Chili's. You just do. You don't want to take the soggy mountain of fries that you just had to have. Secondly, you always buy more candy than you need. Always. So therefore, now our home, we thought reasonable number of, Hershey's and whatever, Reese's cups. And now we have enough candy till April. So fantastic. So anyway, so there you go. So everything's going to be like, oh, great. Right. Here's your lobster dinner. Have a Hershey bar. Anyway, right. So that's going to be, I'm having to navigate that nightmare. No, but having said that, once Halloween is done, we know sports gets real for me. Like that's when the thick of football, the World Series is ending, basketball is like turning up, hockey is in full flight, tennis is ending, the World Cup, oddly, this year is coming up. So it's going to be a very, very intense time. So
so I have... my daughter Jovi, she's 10 and a half, so we're like in the thick of Halloween.
So she's in withdrawals today. She's in withdrawals.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This morning,
sugar withdrawals. Yeah.
This morning, if I seemed a little off this morning, it's it has a lot to do with trying to get her out the door and actually to school on time. But yeah, Halloween was great. So our neighborhood's great. They do there's a couple houses that put on these tremendous there's one house you walk in, there's it's like a haunted house. It's incredible.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a lot, and it's over.
I can't wait for Arbor Day. That's my favorite holiday.
And just like you, yes, we have enough candy that will serve as dessert for the next 19 dinner parties.
Exactly right. Wait, dinner parties? I've never invited to dinner parties. What dinner parties?
It's for 3.
It's for 3. Family parties. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
But another week in football, right?
So yeah.
Although it's taking focus a little bit better in my mind. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Sure. Right. I mean, naturally, as the season goes on, things are going to start to play out more. But so on. I had a bummer of a viewing Sunday myself. I had to coach a baseball game smack in the middle of Sunday football. It was the only time this whole fall that it happened. It was our last game of the year. I've gotten through the entire fall. So
what you're saying is you didn't devote any interest or any expertise to the baseball team because you were watching in the dugout on your phone the game.
Kind of.
So therefore, they probably lost the game, I would imagine. Your team.
So I kind of
Hey, hang on. Did your team lose the game or win the game?
We lost, but it wasn't because it wasn't.
I'm going to call. If I'm a parent, I'm calling the board of Kid Baseball League Inc. and saying that my coach was distracted because his Patriots were playing.
Okay, well, you call Baseball Board Inc. and I'm fine with that.
Okay, please do. Right, please do.
Please record that. Actually,
exactly. By the way, you seem pretty bummed for a fan whose team won last week.
We did, which was big. Listen, it was, the Jets were playing well. It's, in the back of my mind, it's yes, the Jets were playing well, but it's still the Jets.
But I will say, last week in the podcast, I did say, just from history point of view, the Pats got 10 points. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think just because.
That happened, and thankfully, Zach Wilson happened. I mean,
oh my God.
I don't like talk about in the past couple of weeks we talked about like the controversy between Zappy and
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, right? And like here's Zach Wilson. Like I've never thought Zach Wilson was all that great.
No,
like ever.
Listen, aren't you grateful that you have your quarterbacks and not Teddy Bridgewater or Zach Wilson? I mean, just think about it. Or Mitch Trubisky, which by the way is still in play, still playing.
Some of those, you're right. Some of those passes that he was trying to pull off, like
I mean, first of all, throwing the ball out of bounds. That's a new twist on me. From your back foot, as you're being pulled, to the sideline, you throw the ball from your back foot. You throw it away in the play in the field of play for the interception. That's an interesting tactic. How about throwing it away from the sideline? I mean, that play alone requires him to be benched and bit slapped across. But every player on that team just to go around and just slap him across the face. It
was pretty bad. But yeah, so they won. I'll tell you what, if we can get through this weekend, this coming weekend against the Colts.
Yeah.
If we can get through that, and then we have our bye after that, so we'll be heading. If we can head into our bye with a winning record, I will be tickled pink.
In fact, if they told you that at the beginning of the year, you would have taken that 10 out of 10 times.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
So, again, that's what I try to do also, to manage expectations for myself, because, yes, I'm the optimist. I think we should win every game, like every fan. But the mediocrity of the record of the Dolphins the past, I don't know, 50 years, that we're always kind of like, we're up, we're down, we're up. This doesn't feel that way. This feels like if two is in, we win. If two is out, we don't. Yeah. So to me, I like binary choices. This is what I've been trying to say for a year and a half here on this podcast. That keep Tua upright for one more second, give him a weapon or two, and sit back and watch. By the way, number one QBR, number one rating. No, I mean, I don't need to go through the list again because some people will never be convinced. If he was a right-handed white quarterback, is it different? I don't know. But the fact is that for whatever reason, Tua haters are vast and numerous, but the numbers don't lie, right? So here we are. All right. So let's talk about this week in football. I think we should go ahead. So I'm sorry. I lost one of my points that I was going to make like 10 minutes ago. About this week and this you
week.
Are off today.
This week of football, you got me talking about baseball, and then you threatened to call Baseball Inc. on me, and
that's lingering in your mind. That some council of parents are going to be like, Jonah Bayless, we know you played Major League Baseball, but my third grade student deserves to have a full-time coach that understands the nuances of paying attention.
But yeah, So what struck me? So I'm looking at all these. So I didn't get to sit down and watch like the 1:00 games. I got to watch 1 4 o'clock, and then I saw the night game. But so I'm kind of like, I'm stuck to just like looking up the scores and everything, and I'm looking at all the games, and I'm like, and it's starting to dawn on me. And then I heard somebody on a broadcast say it. There was only one game this entire weekend between two teams with a winning record.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Everyone's the same. Everyone's like 2-5, 3-4. Everybody, every team. By the way, if the Panthers, which by the way, the most boneheaded team of all the boneheaded teams this week, if the Panthers would have scored an extra point or a chip shot field goal in overtime, they would have gone to 3-5 and wait for it in first place.
In first place.
Instead, the kicker is probably like on his way to like Toledo or something, and meanwhile they're 2 and what 4? Oh, no, 2 and 5.
2 and 5.
But fret not, they're in the thick of it. In the South.
Right. That was.
By the way, just to go back, I've been with you when we've been at an event we had to be at, and it was Sunday football. and both of us are on our phones on Sunday Ticket trying to figure out which. We're like hopping on one leg to see if the satellite catches this angle, and everyone's like clapping for like over here for whatever event's going on. And we're like, oh hi, we're here. Anyway,
we're fashioning satellites out of tin
totally
foil.
Exactly. We have like I'm like telling the bartender to give me a salt shaker or something to make the metal might conduct better with the something. Anyway. Yeah. So I've experienced that particular hell with you before.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Let's talk. Yeah. So listen, to me, when I said the week was taking shape for me, I think the NFC is taking shape for me, which is usually means what? The Packers are winning, the Bucs are winning, and then one of these teams, and the Eagles or Seahawks or Vikings might make
floating around,
floating around. But ultimately, we know it's going to go down to how the Packers and Bucs go the past couple of years. It's going to be how the this year it's been still going strong for the Eagles, right? The Eagles are undefeated, undeniably a great team. They also happen to have, as you look at the schedules going forward, the easiest schedule going forward. I mean, I don't think they play a real NFL team till like week 12 or so, or a week 13. So you can see plausibly how this team will go 12-13-0 until they play, I think, the Giants in New York, which by then could be just like the Giants, or it could be like the Giants, so it depends how things go. But I mean, the Eagles could, for the Dolphins 72 perfect team, they better not sleep on the Eagles still being undefeated, because I don't see a team, at least something really tragic happens, that will stop them for a few weeks. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
But having said that, the Eagles undefeated with its easy schedule in front of them, how could they not be the most feared team in the NFC? I don't think they are. I think the Cowboys and 49ers are surging at the right time. The 49ers aren't surging. They're kind of finding their way. And we'll talk about that in 1 second. But the Cowboys, they look good. The Cowboys are getting their shit together. The Cowboys are now becoming the Cowboys that I predicted in the beginning of the season are fully becoming this team. I still think the Cowboys and the Rams will end up in NFC Championship game because of the balance of the team. And the secret sauce, you may have heard.
You think the Rams will make it?
I'm sorry. I meant the 49ers. I'm so sorry. Okay. I meant the 49ers. Oh, my God. The Rams. In fact, my next point is that the Rams are going to be I think my next point, the Rams play the Bucs this week. And whomever loses that game, I think it's toast for the year. That's my bold prediction.
Rams and Bucs are this week? Okay.
Yeah. So whomever loses that game, they'll fall to 3-6 or something. And that's going to be, I believe, not this year song for that team. But going back to the 49ers rather, and the Cowboys, I believe those two will be in the NFC Championship. And I do believe that the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey, that who knew that Christian McCaffrey was going to be, who knew? Everyone knew. But if he stays healthy, he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
And he, like you said in the intro, he pulled off the impossible troika. The running touchdown, the catching touchdown, and he threw a touchdown pass. Welcome to week 2 as a 49er. Talk about knowing the playbook. A trick play in week 2?
Right. It'll be
Teddy
really
Bridgewater still doesn't know that we have trick plays in the Dolphin playbook, and he's been our number 2 quarterback the whole year. Anyway, so I'm very excited about the 49ers, and I'm excited about the Cowboys. What's your take on all that?
My take, my takes both have to do with running backs, and starting with Christian McCaffrey. Obviously we haven't talked a whole bunch about that trade, but man,
he's been injured a lot, and we figured, he might be knows but if damaged goods or whatever.
But like you said, if he can stay healthy, and they can figure out some creative stuff to do with him, which I think they can. I think they're a team that kind of has thrived off of that, right? Like think about him and Deebo Samuel, 2 absolute Swiss Army knives of talent, lined up on the field together at the same time, and as a defense, you're like,
wait for this. I'm arguing the same thing. I'm saying in a few weeks we'll see this in San Francisco when Cheetah and Waddle are in the game with Tua quarterbacking, and now all of a sudden you have Samuel and McCaffrey on the other side. Is that not a popcorn football game or what?
Should be pretty good, yeah.
Right.
Should be pretty good.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. They had this trick play for McCaffrey this week. I'll be interested to see how they continue to progress with that, or if that was just hey, let's get this guy a play or two this week so we can get him integrated.
Well, Samuel wasn't playing, so
no, he wasn't.
Right. So therefore, he had to become the guy. And do you know what he loves more than anything? Becoming the guy.
Well,
he loves being the guy. So Chris McCaffrey said, "Oh yeah, I can do that." Like he said, Swiss Army knife. He can do anything.
So we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get into sort of trades a little bit more in depth in a second.
Is he like the third quarterback on the depth chart? What's this?
It might be. But we'll get into trades a little bit more in depth in a second. But I'm saying, and you're agreeing, is that the 49ers may have pulled off the trade of the year, if not the next couple of years. Because it's rare that the team gets one person and all of a sudden you go, whoa.
Do you know who we thought had the trade of the year? Devontae Adams.
My God.
And the Raiders. When that happened, remember, that's when the Titans of the West, the super conference or the super division within the conference, who's going to win the West? And no one's going to lose a game ever. I'm thinking, that's okay. I'll buy it for a minute, and then Derek Carr, together with his longtime bromance, is back together. And I'm thinking, but didn't the Dolphins just get Tyreek Hill? And doesn't that seem more significant to some people? No, it's okay. Tua doesn't have the arm.
No, that's not true. Everyone was hyped about the Tua trade.
Tua will never get the arm. He doesn't have the arm strength. He'll never get the Tua.
The Tyreek. Everyone was hyped about the Tyreek pickup. The Devontae Adams just happened later.
I know.
It was old news.
My point
old
is
news by that point.
That Devontae Adams should have been on any estimation. I don't see how it hasn't been an impact move.
Are you ready for his stats from this past weekend?
Derek Carr, he's
on my fantasy team. This is why I know this all too well.
Okay, tell me.
Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the league
ever.
1 reception for 3 yards.
How many targets?
5.
Wow.
And then one rush. Then 1 rush for negative yards.
So cumulatively, he's 0 yards.
He got 2 yards.
2 yards. Okay, what's the over under of you and I getting 2 yards in a game, in an NFL game? Probably under for me. But
interestingly, I saw this on an Instagram story. They asked, the commercials of the Heisman House. They have all the old ex-Heisman winners.
Yeah.
So they were at one of the shootings for the commercials, and for fun, they asked everyone, could anyone off the street rush for 1 yard in a football game? And it was pretty funny. It was, as you can imagine, like Barry Sanders was absolutely not. But a lot of the guys were 1 yard. They're yeah.
In a similar way, it's funny. It happens with tennis. As you can imagine, can anyone win a point off Djokovic, or can anyone win?
No, because you can't return it.
Right. If Martina Navratilova was well, if you can see the ball, that's a first step.
Right. 1,000%. Yeah.
People are always surprised when I've gone, as you can imagine, a lot of times to live tennis matches. And my friends who don't, who are vaguely in sports but not tennis fans, when I take them to a tennis match, they always say the same thing. Man, that's so much faster in person. People don't understand. The TV kind of deadens the speed or something.
Right.
When you're watching Nadal and Djokovic in a match, you're like, what just happened? I didn't even see the ball, let alone what just happened after.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing type of, like when you go see a hockey game in person, you can't even, it's a whole different level, right? Of intensity.
I would venture to say that it is harder. We should have this discussion actually at some point. It is harder to return a tennis serve than it is to rush for a yard in the NFL. 100%.
Or a Randy Johnson fastball in this prime.
Or hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah, same premise.
Same idea.
I guess at least tennis, I got a racket, and I can.
How about this? I would need a racket to bat against Johnson, to bigger surface area,
right?
And I would need a baseball bat to kind of swing at the Djokovic ball.
Right. And in the batting, if Randy Johnson, can I bunt? Can I just
bunt? Did you ever have an at bat in baseball?
I did. Not in the big leagues. It's just in AAA.
Oh,
and not very many.
What's your career? What's your career stats? Is it like it may say, did you have better stats than Devontae Adams had last week?
Arguably, yes.
You can say it with confidence. I have had better numbers than Devontae Adams.
I had two plate appearances, and I was 0 for 1 with a ground out to second and a walk.
Hey, listen. Hey,
so
that's not bad. That's
arguably better than Devontae Adams.
I mean, right? You didn't have any negative yards. You just had a okay. But we're digressing. Okay,
we are. So, are we?
But you understand, or you understand. You obviously agree in some ways that the Cowboys, the Niners, and the Eagles are the teams.
And so, yes, I do. And so the Cowboys are looking great. Here's my interesting point with the Cowboys is like, man, talk about like it seems like all of these different similar storylines are developing across the league. I'm like, I watched that game, the Cowboys game, the highlights of it, and I'm like, whoa, Pollard, right?
Yeah.
Like Elliott was out.
Yeah.
And my neighbor's a massive Cowboys fan, and he was like, thank God. Like he's waiting for Zeke to not be the guy anymore.
I know.
Because Pollard's just so much more explosive.
Look, but it happens a lot. Look, as someone that's again the Dolphins, who's always been like there's always I had 30 of these type of running backs with the Dolphins that they have this kind of like they've been champing at the bit just to get in the game, and then all of a sudden they're like, we all love them because all of a sudden one game or two games are like they're unexpected, they're enthusiastic. All of a sudden the defensive coaches start scheming against them, and you're like, oh, they do suck.
Yeah, maybe
that's the issue. So let's wait a minute with Paul. I mean, there's other players that can get past that. There's obviously the whole level of running backs that are starters that don't have that type of. I'm leery. Let's put it this way: of this instant, like, oh, he's the answer at running back in a year, like we talked about before.
I'm not
of the non-running back year. You know, this is like the year of the anti-running back.
Let me rephrase it. Then I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm just saying he's better.
He's better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a statement.
Than Zeke Elliott. I'm not saying Zeke Elliott's the answer. Okay. I'm just saying that.
So did you watch the game?
given the two choices.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like at this point, I think Zeke used to be better.
I think right now it's a good time for both of them. They're both one surging, one's going to be kind of hanging in there a little bit. I think
you can say he's dying.
As a team, this is the right moment for both of them to be helping each other, helping the team. I think both of them have a role in this incarnation, in this moment in time for the Cowboys. I don't think they'll be trading either one for the trade deadline, which we'll get into. Okay, let's move on because obviously the NFC bores the shit out of me. Okay, just kidding. Sports, of course.
We love all sports.
Let's go back to your children's baseball game. That's really telling. Did you get thrown? You should have argued with the umpire and gotten thrown out of the game. That's what I would have done. You're blind. That was obviously safe. That would have been good. And a good role model for all children in general to have that type of interaction with.
To be clear, I'm not with children. My team is 16 years old. So
they're annoying as hell. So who cares? I mean, it's their fault they lost. They suck. All right. And their parents are to blame.
Be better humans.
And their parents are to blame. You showed up. Blue ribbon for you. All right. So my next topic is it's very we touched upon it, of course, because how could we not? What the fuck happened to the Raiders? What did you see that game at all? Did you see any highlights?
Did you see
any lowlights of that game? Did you see any lowlights of that game?
I honestly have no answer. I don't know.
Look, the single most surprising game of the year in a season of surprising games.
Yeah.
How the Raiders went to New Orleans, the hapless Saints. Talk about stats. I think Derek Carr cleared 100 yards at the last play of the game.
Let me see if I can pull him up.
Yeah, pull him up because it's really bad. The O-line didn't show up at all. At all. The defense was something awful. I mean, and then of course Derek Carr, God bless him, he couldn't get the ball anywhere because he wasn't upright. He was running around like a sale at Best Buy on Black Friday when the doors open. It was just a situation that was not good. I mean, the Raiders looked so bad. It looked like they were just partying on the Strip, on the Vegas Strip, too long, and they went to the French Quarter. And
oh man,
yeah,
we got. Did Derek Carr get hurt or did he get benched?
I didn't see the end of the game, but I was asleep. But
okay.
by the time.
Yeah, so Derek Carr, you're right. Derek Carr, 101 yards.
Yeah.
But Jarrett Stidham, ex-Patriot.
Yeah.
Probably went over with McDaniels. Jarrett Stidham, 8 of 13 for 72 yards.
Well, there you go. Well, whopping numbers. The point is that the Raiders were supposed to be, the fearsome Raiders, coming strong after Mahomes and the Chiefs and everyone else. And, in the AFC, for me, I'm bored with the Raiders already. But on the AFC, I mean, there's nothing to say. I mean,
here seems to be their problem, right? So when you think of the Raiders and you think of their two best receivers, you're thinking of Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. Okay,
right, of course.
And it is just looking. I'm just going off of stats from yesterday. Obviously, it isn't a great sample size, but just going off of this, here seems to be their problem. It seems that other teams are going, oh, your best players are Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, who combined for 2 catches for 9 yards yesterday.
Scintillating stuff. I mean, Russell Wilson was much watched TV compared to this. I mean, and that was like, he was in London. He barely
started on him.
They barely beat the Jags again. By the way, the Jags. My point with Trevor, what's his name? The quarterback, the Kim Stanley,
Lawrence,
the Brett girl. Yeah, the Brett girl hair. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, he's 0-7 this season in 1-score games.
Is he?
So he's actually the opposite of a quarterback that gets you to. So that's never going to change. Yeah. I'm sorry. So, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is available, people. Come on, Jags. Teddy Bridgewater is available.
You remember when the Jags came out like 2-0 this season, and we were all like, "Oh my god!"
You were. I was like,
the country,
the whole country. Yeah, the Pizza Hut loving crowd. Okay, so the Raiders are. I think the surging Ravens have to be. I think they found a little bit of their answer to a better, quasi not terrible defense, and Jackson's being Lamar Jackson. I think he's on his way to becoming, once again, lights out, terrifying, and no one knows how to defend him because can you really defend him? He beats himself.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, that's exactly it. Is he beats himself? I mean, most if not all of those games. I mean, we always blame the defense because they were come from behind wins, but a lot of those games, he had awful offensive decisions.
4th and 1.
That led to really poor field position and. It was. Yeah,
well, he definitely contributed to the loss at the end of those games for sure. There's no question about it. The flip side of that, you wouldn't be in a position of having 30-something points if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson in the first place. So, against the Dolphins again, he ran for 150 yards and threw for 400, and somehow managed to lose the game. So that was insanity. But I think the Ravens, the Ravens, and the Bills are looking mighty scary. At this point, at this juncture. Again, with the Dolphins being, in my, of course, optimistic world, where when Tua starts and ends games, he's 5-0. So that's going to be the outlier to see how that goes, how that continues. Again, in a similar fashion as the Eagles, the Dolphins' schedule opens up pretty nicely in theory. Again, although the Lions, we'll talk about it in a second, literally gave me a heart attack until the very end of the game when Tua just outgunned Goff.
For sure. And, there's... it pains me to say RPF, but I can't deny your offense. I need to see your defense before I go ahead and start projecting the Dolphins like deep into the playoffs.
Okay, I agree with that.
I'd like to point out that somebody shut out the Lions. I don't know. Somebody.
That's true. That's why I was hopeful. I said, because if the Patriots can do it, But I think the Lions showed up, and for the Lions to show up fully and really kind of surprise the Dolphins, Tua was not surprised. Tua was on from.
Well, the offense will never be surprised. But the offense will never be surprised. It's just.
But we haven't had a game though that we had to go toe to toe in a shootout like Mahomes does, and we've seen All the quarterbacks do. Herbert do it. We've seen everyone do it. And everyone like gets turned on by this whole concept of never out of it. Of course, historically Brady and Aaron Rodgers and all these guys do it. Tua's never done it. Tua's been nickeling and diming and dumping the ball off and been criticized because we don't have the weapons. Now Tua's like, really, from the Ravens game, to go back to that was the fourth quarter of 30-point explosion. And then we have Tua saying, okay, I got you. Every drive, we didn't punt the ball to like the end of the third quarter. We were just and all on his back and proper play calls, and of course having Waddle and Hill have another lights out performance. Waddle I think 2 touchdowns, 140 some yards, and Hill had 189 yards on 12 touches.
I mean, it's insane.
And Tua was an 80% passer. It was like it's like 4 drop passes, and 2 of those were like in the pocket, in the hands of the receivers that dropped it. I mean, I'm telling you that Tua's accuracy makes up for his lack of 6-7 yards on the arm. I mean, I would take that a million times over. If his decision making stays this strong, we're very well suited. And this year, I mean, going forward, as I mentioned, we have the Bears, and I think we have the Texans, and then we have and teams like this that are not scaring me. And as we head to the bye. Not to Dubai, to the bye week. Although going to Dubai in this cold weather might be nice to be on the beach.
Hang on. Can we, screw games in London. Can we go to Dubai?
Right. Let's go to Rio and Dubai. Let's go like to the beaches of Australia. Bondi Beach, live American football. Kangaroos against the. Oh, anyway, by the way, the Kangaroos should be a better name than the Commandeers. I'm just saying, and the Commanders. The Commanders. All right. So moving on. So I think that I don't know. So let's talk about. Well,
hang on. I want.
But you agree with the Ravens and the Bills being the teams in the AFC with possibly the Dolphins and the Titans, right? Who knew the Titans were like anything? Did you know the Titans were 5-2?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with the Titans. So going back to the preseason, I had said, okay. Again, because the Colts picked up Matt Ryan, and we thought that was going to be drastically different. I had said that it was going to be between the Colts and the Titans, and it just kind of depended on a couple of things. And guess what? The Colts are awful, and so now at this point, I'm saying if the Titans don't win their division, they got drastic problems.
But the Titans, I forget. They were the top-rated team last year in the AFC. No, I mean, didn't they get the bye?
They were good. They've always been good. They've always been good.
Good-ish, but they don't make it to the end, right? So they're good. They're basically like the, I don't know, like the Packers as of late, that they don't make it to the Super Bowl, but they always are like top 3 seeds or something. But the Titans this year, I didn't even think about them. They're 5-2, which, by the way, like we mentioned, every other team is like 4-5 or whatever, 3-4. They're to me, they're kind of a sleeper team, and this week. They play the Chiefs. We also 5-2, so that's interesting. The 5-2 are playing to me like 6-1, and the Titans are like 4-3 in my head, and they're both 5-2. So if the Titans can pull that off, that could really come in handy for them at the end of the year. So anyway, so that's interesting. What are you looking forward to this week in football?
This week, well, hang on before I jump into that, you kind of piqued my interest a little bit, and I got curious because you're talking about Tyreek. So this is about you, RPF.
Oh my God, I love that.
You're talking about Tyreek.
The shirt I'm wearing is prescient. Oh.
I'm curious because I actually don't know off the top of my head about single season receiving records. But we are not halfway through the season yet, right? Where we completed eight weeks. I pulled up Tyreek's stats.
Yep.
69 receptions already.
Mm-hmm.
961 yards.
This is one game less than halfway through the season. Yeah.
Right. So you can essentially double these.
Right. The projections are that he would literally break every NFL receiving record by week 13 if this continues.
Except for touchdowns.
Right.
Exactly. He only has 2?
We don't. He's not good. Okay, we I mean, we
guy's
talking
a
about
wash.
he's a total. What a waste of a trade. No, the thing is that he's always triple covered, right? And he's like all of 5 foot nothing. So we fake to him and
Right.
go to Kaseki or go
Right.
to
Right.
Waddle or whatever. Yeah.
But those have to be records, right? So ESPN here has him projected at 147 receptions for 2,042 yards. Those have to be records, right?
They have to be records. I mean, 2,000 yards. I mean, that's like I don't think I've walked 2,000 yards in a year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So hang on. So what you're saying is, in your own kind of like meandering way, is that RPF, you've been so right, I've been so wrong about everything about the Dolphins.
No. I'm saying that Tyreek.
We're not quite there yet. Okay. We're not quite there.
No. You said they're going to win the Super Bowl. So
right. If we win by the way, we still haven't decided what the bet was going to be, because I said if the Dolphins win the Super Bowl,
way too late for that now.
Oh. Okay. No.
Well, because they either had to get to, not even win it, they had to get to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Or not make the playoffs.
All right, we're still.
You should have taken
possible. Both of them are possible. Yeah.
You should have taken the not make the playoffs proposal I put out there, because I'm not putting it out there now.
Well, I do a contingency if Tua's healthy. If not, I'm not putting my.
No, that's part of it. That's the team.
Teddy Bridgewater. Oh my God.
I take these things into consideration.
Moving on.
Colts, You're Patriots. Moving on.
I am moving on. Colts Patriots this week. If the Patriots lose to the Colts, you need that momentum, right?
We need to win this game. Like I just talked about how awful the Colts are. Yeah, and so if we can go and hold, if we can hold up against and beat the Jets, and we can, we got romped by the Bears, which was a blasphemy. But I already like whatever.
How about what's weirder, Bears killing you or the Browns humiliating the Bengals last night? What was that? That was the strangest game. Okay.
So just so you have a glimpse of my fantasy football week. So Joe Burrow is my quarterback. Devontae Adams is my receiver. Joe Burrow's my quarterback. I'm like, it's halftime, and I'm like, well, what?
I think I propose a name change. When Joe Burrow doesn't have DeMar Chase, he's Joe buried. He's buried. He's definitely not. He needs he needs Chase. It's like Tua has no two-handed type receivers. He's not going to be that great either. So
yeah.
All right. So Patriots have to win for momentum, and then going to the bye week, right?
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Actually, you know what? The more I think about this for the Patriots, the more I really want that. I mean, obviously, I want them to win. The more I don't want to say they need to win anything. I mean, they're not like.
I think they need to win.
They're not. I only say that because they're not like. I mean, it's not like they're going. I mean, they are kind of bidding for the wild card, but
that's what I'm saying. I think the Patriots. We can have 3 teams sneak in. Yeah, sneaking. The Bills aren't sneaking in, but we could be the AFC West. What the expectation was, we could be that. I've been saying
it's
that.
a big game. Let me at least put it that way. This is a huge game for the Patriots.
Bills Jets. Is there any universe that the Bills are in trouble in that game?
No.
Okay, moving on.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. In my honest opinion, not if Zach Wilson starts.
Well, it's true, but
I would be more. I would be more concerned.
We both have to root for the Bills to win. How sad is that for us?
I know. I know.
That's like
get the Jets.
I'm not going to watch the game. I'm not going to watch the game. I just can't morally root for like.
See, for me at this point, for me, we're not going to win the division. We're not even going to come close to winning it. So I'm just let the Bills have their division and just go beat the tar out of the Jets.
Right. Let the Bills be the number 1 seed.
Break them in half.
Exactly.
like 72-6.
Exactly. Morale, their spirit,
done.
Their hopes and dreams, all of it gone.
Yeah.
Make it so bad that all their players just quit and start coaching 15-year-old baseball players. That's what I think. That's my dream for them. Okay, Rams and Bucs. As I mentioned, is it lights out for the loser of that equation?
I agree with you. That's
Rams and Bucs was a popcorn game we circled when we saw the schedule. I mean, how could it
totally?
Not be?
Yeah.
And now we're like, meh.
Yeah.
It's like, meh. Brady. Yeah. I keep saying this every week. Is this the week he snaps out of it? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on his alimony checks. So we'll figure that out. I mean, okay. Yeah. Titans and Chiefs. again, that's the game of the week on paper. They're both 5-2.
Titans Chiefs, yeah, that'll be a big one,
right? That'll be a big one, right? So that should be a fun one. In Kansas City, I think it tilted way heavily to them.
I think you're right.
Then of course my team, the Dolphins, play the Bears, which kind of terrifies me because the Lions was supposed to be easy, and we barely escaped from Alcatraz in their run, and now we have the Bears, which completely like blew out some teams, and I mean the Patriots. Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's terrifying. The Bears, how could they snap out of it?
They blew them out, and keep in mind, like they put up a lot of points against the Cowboys.
Right, so I'm saying the Patriots also have a better.
They just also gave up.
The Patriots have been stopping more defenses, aka the Lions, shutting them out, and we can't stop the Lions in defense. So I'm not entirely not worried. And plus, one of my good buddies is a Bears fan, and he's don't sleep with the Bears. I said, you guys don't have a quarterback.
The Bears for you this week. The Bears is one of those games where like going into it, you're kind of like you're biting your nails. The first like kickoff, you're kind of like.
But you know what it is for me.
Once you get like 2 touchdowns, you're like, okay, all right.
Maybe, but we can't. We have to have a defense to stand. We have to have a game that we don't have to rely on to win a shootout against the Bears. I mean, we have to have a defense that says, okay, enough of this crap. Okay, let's have 4 sacks. Let's have a couple of picks. Yeah. Let's just play the game that we know how to play, and then that way we win by 17 points. Everyone can go home and be happy. Yeah. Right. Okay.
You guys need a good defensive performance off of a above average offensive performance, and just really solid game. Boom.
And now the best news. Moving off of football. We're done with football. Okay. This week doesn't deserve more discussion. Although, that's not true. Let's talk about the trades. Let's talk about the trade deadline is looming as we record this.
Yep.
Can I just tell you my one interest, of course, involves the Dolphins, or possibly the Dolphins. The one it's involving, we need, there's a big rumor, it's hot tea, apparently, that the Broncos, their star edge rusher, Bradley Chubb, is available, and is on the block. And if we get him, it won't be cheap. It'll cost us a first round pick, possibly. But Chubb could be, the plug we need in that line. We could be. I just can't even think about it too much. I start getting. But the issue is, for me, on the flip side of the equation, the hot tea is that Mike Gesicki is our golden goose, which was he was a franchise, player.
Yeah.
And he's being offered up for huge type of payback. And because he doesn't fit exactly into the McDaniel playbook, he's not a natural blocker. He's an amazing pass catcher, as everyone knows. Mm-hmm. So I'm just devastated, the idea of Mike Gesicki not being a Dolphin. I'm going to push it out of my mind, hoping that's not going to happen. On the flip side of that, there is a lot of hot talk about Teddy Bridgewater, my favorite quarterback who's ever played the game, is on the actual block. I would trade him for
where would he go?
I would trade Bridgewater for 6 boxes of Thin Mints from the Girl Scout cookies. Whomever wants him just for the plane fare to leave Miami, I would give Teddy Bridgewater. I would take that trade. So anybody who needs a quarterback in any league, starting with XFL, CFL, AAA baseball, whomever needs Teddy Bridgewater, please, he's available from the Dolphins. Okay, what's your trade T?
Well, I'm just kind of I'm floating through the sort of like the insiders say these people are on the the trading block, and kind of without picking out anyone in particular, what I am seeing is a lot of receivers.
Yeah.
And thinking about the fact that geez, Aaron Rodgers sure could use somebody.
but don't you think that we talked about the Tyreek, there's two schools of thought. The receivers are that impactful to teams. Generally speaking, historically, I just read an article in The Athletic that they're not. Actually, it doesn't matter. The receivers you think are going to be the big type of threat downfield, but they historically haven't been considered the factor for any team, with the exception, the outlier being Tyreek Hill, right? So the same thing is happening now.
I don't know. I would argue OBJ to the Rams last year.
Well, that was a missing piece for sure.
And that's what I mean. I think Aaron. This is going to be painful. Ready? I think Aaron Rodgers is good enough to not need a superstar. He just needs like more reliable options. So he doesn't, like I'm looking, like one of the names on the list here is they got 2 Patriots on here. They've got Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. Like he doesn't need a Tyreek Hill or a Devontae Adams.
I agree.
As much as he would love to have Devontae Adams back, he doesn't need that. He just needs
an option,
and he needs somebody that's
that
got some experience under their belt and can run routes and is in the place that he expects them to be. Like he just needs a reliable piece.
What he needs is Antonio Brown with the Men in Black stick that you forget, like your past.
The neuralizer.
The neuralizer. He needs Antonio Brown neuralized, and then we're talking. If not, Ocho Cinco on Twitter says he's still available. I mean, he's only 52 years old.
I see 2 real interesting running backs on here. Kareem Hunt, obviously has been kind of forgotten about in Cleveland a little bit. Like Nick Chubb's just taken over. Like they used to be the 2-headed monster, and now Chubb was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna take this.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the primary suite. You guys can take the bunks bed over there.
And then Cam Akers could be perfectly serviceable for someone.
Yeah, I mean that's yes, that's quasi interesting, but that's not going to be a game changing move for anybody in a sense. To me, to me, some of the best trades are not trades. Do not give up something that's known for a hope in a draft pick that may not pan out because your GM can't draft worth shit. I'm not saying that about Miami exactly, but I'm just saying
Brandon Cooks from Houston.
Yeah, again, not okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's talk about. Well, you talk about apparently there's a World Series going on, and you can talk about that while I spritz my face.
Product plug. So apparently
Highline Wellness CBD facial mist. I'm 94 years old, and look at my skin. Fabulous. All right.
Yes, apparently there is a World Series going on, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have barely watched any of it because it just doesn't intrigue me right now.
My app gives me like the 6-minute game, and so I have to admit, game 2 was like 6 minutes, was glorious. It was like literally strike out, double, strike out. It was like no commentary, no pausing. It was just like
that is perfect.
Yeah,
like this is I don't know. I feel bad, but like this is how much I haven't paid attention. I woke up today and I was like, "Ooh, I should check the score."
I tell you this,
and I was like, "Oh, I got rained out."
So I'm saying, not only that, I have it on DVR because I have to watch Bachelor in Paradise before I watch the World Series. I mean, who doesn't? So I'm here. I'm watching all these shows. I watch my retinue of reality TV and streaming services shows. All of a sudden, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, well, I should probably power through the World Series before the podcast, right? So I turned it on, and felt such joy when I realized it was raining. I was like, oh my God.
I can go to bed.
That should not be the reaction a sports fan has about the World Series.
It really
right?
shouldn't.
It worried me about myself.
It really shouldn't. And I guess one of my personal questions is, I'm curious to know if this is like, if this is just me. I know it's me personally. I don't like certain players and I don't like certain teams. But I'm curious if the country feels the same way. Like, is this universal?
What are the ratings? I wonder what are the ratings on Fox with the first couple of games?
I don't know.
I'd be curious to see. Let's Google that. But moving on. Let's move off of this.
You can move off of that.
Okay. This is our favorite time of the podcast. It's Jonah. Look at me. This weekend. Huh? Do you have one?
I do, and it's unfortunately a little bit. I don't want to call it a cop out, but it's.
Please stay with the podcast.
But it's no. It's what we literally just talked about. It's the World Series, and it's.
Oh yeah.
And I just, I'm saying, like to myself, like I'm an ex baseball player who still loves the game, but I'm like, I'm just so unintrigued, and I don't know why. Like I can't put my finger.
Next year with the pitching clock on the mound activated
Okay.
with other things that. What do you think it will take for you to be kind of like reactivated as a baseball fan?
Let's see.
Like full tackle baseball or something.
Yeah, I would need, I guess, probably like the Astros to not be good and Bryce Harper to stop playing.
Hence the World Series. Okay,
No.
then maybe it's like the World Series blues. Maybe these specific
So
teams.
I'm actually,
if it was the Dodgers and Yankees, and Aaron Judge is treating, and Mookie Betts is going, and Freeman are playing great, it would be fun to watch, right?
it would be, yeah.
Okay. So it's not baseball per se; it's this particular moment of these two teams.
Yeah. Give or take. So to answer your question of the pitch clock, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I love it. I was a when I played, I was a work quick kind of guy. I was like, hey, get on the mound, let's go.
That's the rumor from what I hear. Yeah,
I love the fact that they're gonna, hey, let's go.
So do you apply that quick work in all aspects of your life, or just...
Always? You got nothing. He's got nothing.
Your wife is one lucky girl. Okay, moving on. Okay, so that's your weekend, huh?
Did that just become your weekend, huh?
Kind of. I'm thinking I might hold this for next week. But my weekend, huh? I know if you saw this in your baseball coaching ways for teenagers or wayward teenagers. Are you part of the Scared Straight type of program? These teenagers are either in prison or they're on the verge of being
right. I do the baseball version. So we talked about facing Randy Johnson. Like I bring Randy Johnson in to face my 16-year-olds, and I'm just I scream at them.
And a bucket of birds that they can
and we scream at them, and I'm like, you think you're good? You think you'll ever be this good?
Yeah, it's effective apparently. All right, so mine was this ref during the game this week said I'm quoting directly because I had to write this down. This referee's name, which I would never know before or after this, his name is Cleat, which, by the way, one of the greatest names ever, Clete.
Okay.
Or I assume it's not Clete, right? It's Cleat. Look, Clete has a certain ring to it. So Cleat Blakeman. So he's like this accountant-sounding last name with like an exotic African prince first name, which I like it. All right. So that's his name. Said the following as an explanation for a penalty, and I'm quoting. For making a move that's not necessary and unlike football. This was projected to the stadium into a television audience.
What game was this?
No, I did this. What? I had to stop it. And I don't even know the game. I was flipping around on the Sunday ticket thing, and I literally went, "What?" I said no, and the announcer starts cracking up. And I played it back. He said, I say it again, for making a move that's not necessary and unlike football. Unlike football, what did he do? Did he ice skate? What is unlike football?
Here's what I do love about that. Here's what I do love about that rule is unnecessary. He made a move that is unnecessary. So I used to
it's called the passive aggressive penalty. No, and that was just mean. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
When I was in baseball, I'd always sit in the bullpen with my crew of relievers, and we were always sitting down there joking around. And one of our favorite games was we'd always throw flags on outfielders for unnecessary dives, right. The catch is like you did not need to dive for that, like. And
by the way, on a related note, since I was 7 years old, I believe. Half these stadiums that had back in the day had these really low fences in the outfield, right? Mm-hmm. And then back then, Dave Kingman and like Reggie Jackson would be hitting these moon balls that were barely over the wall, right? Mm-hmm. And more often than not, the outfielder would park themselves at the base of the wall and literally do this, jump up 4 inches, and the announcer, "What a catch! Oh my God!" I'm like, "What?" He's literally not. To me, the easiest catch in baseball, the easiest hard catch in baseball is that over-the-wall home run stealing shot. Because you're by yourself, you're propelling yourself above the actual surface that it's legal in some ways to catch it. And it's not, it's either within reach or it's not. Yeah. Anyway, that's always been my pet peeve when they overhype that catch when he's been parked under it for 10
When he's
minutes.
been parked
waiting for
under
the
it.
ball.
When he's in a sprint and launches from like the beginning of the warning track into the wall. That's.
I mean, you've seen some real.
That probably is the hardest catch.
The center field catches that are like are line drives that are going up, and the center fielder has to dive diagonally behind him.
Right. But when they've got their hand on the wall and they're waiting, right, and then they
what a catch! I'm like. Aren't they Major League Baseball players?
I got you.
Anyway,
you could throw the flag for unnecessary. What did the ref say? I want to get the words right.
He said for making a move that's not necessary and unlike football. It's more like for you. It's like for the outfielders to dive. It's like it's more like FIFA soccer. When they do the flopping.
I am writing this down because I am making this my penalty in life now. I'm gonna carry a flag with me like to the grocery store.
No, to your wife at dinner.
I'm sorry. This was an unnecessary move, and
for making a move that's not necessary, not even unnecessary, which is
not
to me
necessary.
As an editor in chief, I particularly enjoy the kind of like the negative sounding and unnecessary use of not necessary. Right. So, and by the way, his face is brilliant because he's saying words, and he's like it's like Sarah Palin or Herschel Walker during a debate. They're like, did I say something that makes sense? I have no idea what I just said. Anyway,
right.
So that's my
not necessary.
Help. Okay, moving on. Let's power through.
Moving on.
Oh, we're up to me. RPF
Yay!
right now. God, doesn't this podcast feel more about me than usual? I kind of like it. All right.
Yeah, it's I'll correct that next week.
I'm sure you will. When post Halloween.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. If my Pats can pull off the win over the Colts, I'm showing up with bells on, happy as can be going into our bye week.
I want to see a hoop skirt with bells on. That's what and maybe saddle shoes, like a 50s throwback type of, like at the what's it called at the hop. You'll be the prettiest belle at the ball. All right, here we go. I'm feeling, again, unsurprising to people who follow the podcast, that Rafa Nadal is playing his last two tournaments of the year. Right now it's the Paris Masters 1000, followed by the end of the year, the top 8 players, the big tournament. It's an odd asterisk to his incredible GOAT-like career that he's never won either the Paris Masters 1000 and the end of the year tournament. They're both indoor events, which is his least favorite type of surface. For people who don't follow tennis, if you're playing indoors, it's the fastest type of surface. The ball kind of doesn't bounce like a cement hard court. It just goes, it skips through. So it's very, very advantageous to people like Roger Federer and Djokovic who hit the ball flat, and he needs more of a surface that grips the ball and be able to so he can have his spin, kick the ball high. Anyway, technically speaking, it's also the end of the year. He's generally hurt and beat up by the end of the year. He kind of takes the time off, and when he does play, he doesn't play all that great ever. So, having said that, on the flip side, he's going for his 6th year-end number 1 ranking, which is tremendous. From like when he was 18 to now, he's like 130. So if he's able to have deep runs in the actual tournaments and get to the finals of Paris or get to the finals of the year-end championship, he's all but guaranteed to win the number 1 year-end ranking, which, by the way, is tremendous given the fact that he's been hurt half the year and he's older, and as we all know, he's on the verge of any major injury now. I suspect might be the end of his career. So the flip side of that is that he's going up against Carlos Alcaraz, my other favorite player, the teen phenom that's at 18 is number 1 player in the world. So now, if Carlos Alcaraz also, in a similar way, doesn't have points to defend in these two tournaments because he's 18 and he didn't, barely got there last year, he too could win the year-end ranking for the first time in his life, obviously, and then start his career on this tremendous trajectory. So either way, it's a win-win for me. But in a bittersweet way, I would love to have Rafa have one more shot at the ring, at the year end, and for him to win one of these two tournaments for the first time would be a great cherry on his career, on the Sunday of his career. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Okay. Okay. So is there anyone else that can possibly pull this off?
Yeah. There's two other players that are in the contention for Casper Ruud, who is like someone who you'll never remember his name now or before. He basically was on the he got to the finals of both the French Open, where he got blasted by Rafa. He got to the finals of the U.S. Open, largely arguably because Djokovic wasn't allowed to enter the country because he's unvaccinated. The only player
Right. I remember that.
Not vaccinated. So remember, he got deported from Australia with all that hoopla. But
right.
So Casper Ruud oddly got to the finals of both the U.S. Open and the French Open, and got blasted by both Spaniards, by Carlos Alcaraz for his first title in Grand Slams, and by Rafa in Paris. So therefore, he's up for if he wins these tournaments, Casper Ruud would be number one player in the world, which would be preposterous. But the second player it's Tsitsipas, and Tsitsipas is once again. He's never gotten past the semifinals in the Grand Slam, but he wins all these other tournaments just below the Grand Slams. He wins all the 1,000 tournaments, or he gets deep into them. So if he somehow wins Paris and the year-end championships, he too could become the year-end number one. Unlikely, but I think it's definitely going to be a horse race between the two Spaniards. The future, and quite simply, quite soon, the past of Spanish dominance. Anyway, so that's going to be the end of the tennis season, which will be full of intrigue and hopefully good matches for Rafa and Carlos. In a perfect world, Rafa plays Carlos at the end of the year tournament in the final to see who becomes the number one player in the world.
That'd be cool.
Would be really cool, right? Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. All right, well, hey, let's move on to our last and final segment, our ever favorite, the lightning round.
Oh, okay. Are we doing?
We're going back to team names. And today we are going to cover the NHL.
Oh my God. I don't even know the team names from the NHL. All right.
We're going to cover the NHL, and we're going to start with the Eastern Conference, and then
but aren't they all called like Smythe and Platypus and all these different names? Yeah.
They got rid of those.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. The platypus division. They got rid of the platypus division.
Okay.
All right. So Eastern Conference. Are you ready? So they do have. So Eastern Conference. We're going to go through the Metropolitan Division.
Okay. I don't even know. First of all, I didn't know that was the name of anything. So okay. Let's move on.
Metropolitan Division.
Okay.
Hurricanes.
Okay.
Blue Jackets. Devils. Okay. Islanders. Rangers, Flyers, Penguins, Capitals.
Okay, let's get rid of the geographically boring ones, right? Capitals, we talked about Washington, right? So that's going to be Islanders in Long Island. Shocker. Okay, that's another one. I think the only one that's really accurate, if I have to pick one, is Devils, because anyone who's been to New Jersey, they know they're in hell. So I think that's very accurate in that sense. That's. By the way, I'll give you a quick Manhattan joke, since I lived in Manhattan for decades.
Okay.
Do you know why New Yorkers are so negative about the future? Because the light at the end of their tunnel is New Jersey. I find that. I'm sure I'll get the dozens of angry New Jersey lovers.
You know what makes me chuckle when I look at this is the Penguins, and I think back
but that city has penguins and pirates.
I was gonna say I think back to our criticism of the ever ferocious Pittsburgh Pirates, or ever notorious the Pirates of Pittsburgh, and I can't help but think of the massive population of penguins.
Maybe the Pittsburgh Pirates actually, instead of a bird, they have a penguin, which is a bird, a penguin on their shoulder. Instead of saying Polly wants a cracker, it's basically a penguin saying we love Jalen Waddle with a T-shirt or something.
And then penguins,
by the way, but penguins are adorable.
They are adorable.
You can't argue with that. Yeah. They are adorable. I mean, come on.
And then I have a couple questions, like what's a Flyer?
What's a yellow? What team is the Yellow Jacket?
A Blue Jacket.
A Blue Jacket. Sorry, blue. What's a Blue Jacket? Is that a bee?
I don't know.
Isn't that a problem when we don't even know although we talked about the Green Wave or Too Late, which we haven't talked about. But by the way, quick plug: Tulane Green
quick,
Wave.
Yeah,
football.
Get your plug in.
7-1. We are now, wait for it, number 19 in the AP poll. That is unbelievable. And
Wow.
we're. I mean, oh my gosh, I made you like a quasi fan of the Tulane Green Wave, so that's in itself a major accomplishment. So. Okay, let's move on.
Blue Jacket. The only thing I see for Blue Jacket off of a very quick search is it has to do with a Navy.
What?
Yeah.
What town is it in?
Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, Columbus. Another shocking sports team. Town.
Well, so hang on. Their AAA team was the Columbus Clippers, like a sailing ship. So there must be some sort of history. Anyway.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, that would be great.
I'm as bored with this division in what's called the Metropolitans. That in itself, that name should be held for account. Okay.
All right. On. So then let's go to our the next one is going to be the Atlantic Division.
Okay.
Okay. And this one is going to be comprised of the Bruins, the Sabres, the Red Wings, the Panthers, the Canadiens, the Senators, the Lightning, and the Maple Leafs.
Most accurate is.
I gotta be honest with you. Of our name game that we've been playing these past couple of weeks, hockey's really boring.
Very lame.
The names are
Canada.
The sport's not.
What's the referee say? For making a move that's not necessary. Canada, the Canadian naming marketing agency, calling the Toronto Maple Leafs really, and Montreal Canadiens. How's that? How about like I throw the flag for like most boring names in history of sports?
Why can't we be like the New York Americans?
Well, that's different problems about that. No, but I think what was the other? I forgot the name, the options. I even forgot. They're not a factor. Let's move on. I'm bored.
Bruins, Sabres. So my question would be, what's a Red Wing?
I was a lifelong Bruin fan because I was born in Boston. I never questioned it. I love the uniform with the B in the middle and the black and gold type of like.
Yeah. All right. So hang on.
I didn't even know what a Bruin was. I mean, isn't that like a?
It's a bear.
That a bird?
It's a bear.
A bear?
Yeah.
Like a
bear.
Like a black bear?
Yeah. Well, it's another name for a bear, like the UCLA Bruins.
How did that? Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't it?
God, I've just exposed myself for being so stupid. You know what's killing me? Wordle. Wordle is killing me. And I'll tell you why. By the time this airs, this will be done. Wordle, I don't know if you guys play Wordle. It's a 5-letter word every day. And Wordle has this bot. It's owned by the New York Times. And the bot tells you how you did for that, in your choices you made. You have 6 tries to get a 5-letter word. And you eliminate all the letters possible. And anyway, the word this from last night, which literally almost broke me, is ready for it. Piney. Piney, as in like pine-like things. Like, oh, the room smells piney, but I sprayed. I mean, to be all the love of my heart for the New York Times and Wordle, fuck you, okay? That was just a stupid-ass word. I had linen and sinewy and fried and haven and nothing. Nope. And then to add insult, I go to the bot, and the bot's like this. You had 3 choices, and you got 2 of them wrong. So, it's snarky as hell. Since when is AI bots like snarky? It's like Elon Musk is mocking me for not getting piney in less than 5 tries. Anyway, but that's why I can't even understand what a Bruin is. Because by the way, Bruin might be the first word I use tomorrow in Wordle. And it has a U and the I. That's good for vowels and stuff. In fact, I'm writing it down. Bruin. That's a good sign. Thank you. All right. Jonah, you've helped me with my word.
There we go. I'm gonna carry on. I was gonna save the Western Conference for next show, but
let's do it right now.
Because they're so boring. I don't want to carry.
I can't do more hockey. This has to die quickly.
All right. Okay, ready. Coyotes, Blackhawks, Avalanche, Stars, Wild, Predator, Blues, Jets.
Let's talk. Just ignore everybody. The Wild. Okay. First of all. Let's put ourselves in that conference room with a whiteboard and a bunch of executives saying, "Okay, let's brainstorm."
Right.
Where are they
Minnesota.
from? Minnesota. Minnesota. Wild. Okay. What the actual? Wild. Like, I think what? Like
the Wild.
Feral. How about feral?
It's like the Wild.
I understand the concept.
Well, do you? Because you don't understand what a Bruin is.
Okay, that's not very nice. You hurt my feelings now. Remember, I'm an editor.
I'll say this. That division, so that's the Central Division of the Western Conference. That division is a little more intriguing than the past ones we've been over. They got some fun things like I don't know how many. This is gonna come across wrong, but I don't know how many Predators there are in Nashville, but
it is the music business, and it's a pretty religious city, so I don't know. Tell me about the Coyotes. What town are they in?
That's Arizona, Phoenix.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. They're all pretty much on brand.
It's just kind of like nothing inspired me. Is there anything else?
All right, Pacific Division.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ducks, Flames, just already laughing. Just Ducks.
I know.
Ducks, Flames, Oilers, Kings, Sharks, Kraken, Canucks, Knights.
What? Who's a Kraken?
Kraken, Seattle.
I had no idea.
They're new. They're 2 years old.
Oh my god! They should be like
the Seattle Kraken.
You want to tell me what a Kraken is? Like release a Kraken? That thing?
Yeah, a mythical sea beast.
Like a Seahawk? They're pretty obsessed with their sea animals.
A mythical sea beast.
Hang on, weren't the Ducks the Mighty Ducks, or did they?
Yes, that's where that came from.
Okay, so now they're just.
It's not like they're like, oh, we got a lot of ducks out here. Like, yes, they came.
They're sitting ducks. They're sitting ducks.
They came from the movie. As far as I understand.
That's just. I can't even comment on that. That's just beyond. I mean, no, I reject this. These are terrible names. I'm wasting my time. No, our viewers are much more important and listeners than having to sit through this horrible.
All right,
this went from my favorite segment to the least favorite one.
All right, it's official.
Hockey.
I'm declaring this the worst lightning round ever. Our ratings are officially as low as the World Series,
and
we need to get out of here.
Let's end on a high note. What's the one thing in sports you're looking forward to right now? This week.
I'm gonna go with my Patriots. Patriots win over the Colts.
Let's be honest. You're looking for Patriots, Colts. I'm looking for the Bears and the Dolphins to kind of have exactly. So let's buck up. Next week will be a better week. Thank you for listening, and Jonah, take it away.
Thank you so much for listening. If you're still here, I'm so impressed. You can find us on all of your listening platforms. Apple, Spotify, Podbean. We're over on Instagram and Twitter, and of course, we're over on YouTube. Just search Sports of Course with Jonah and RPF, and you will find us right there. This has been an adventure, and we will see you next week.
Don't eat too much candy. Okay, bye.